Actually, can I get you to actually expand on growing up in South Africa and when you moved to America, and explain to our listeners the difference in lifestyle. The difference in culture, all that. I'd love to hear
So
it.
we've lived in South Africa, like that's where I'm born. Then we moved to America for a little bit for my family's work, and then we moved back to the UK. And Peter and I went to high school in Scotland. Then we moved back to South Africa.
You're well traveled, then.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're very well traveled. I'm impressed. Nice.
And so like Scotland was the most like chill as far as you can walk around. Like we used to walk, like even as teenagers, in the middle of the night. Super, super safe. South Africa.
Were you more of a soccer or a rugby guy?
I was a rugby guy.
Andy was
You're rugby? Yeah.
I played rugby.
What'd you play in rugby?
I played all across the back line.
You played
primarily like fullback and inside center.
Yeah, I was a forward back in high school. Yeah.
You miss it?
Not really.
Really?
Not really. I don't miss it at all. I got my ass beat a lot, but one of my classmates, he broke his nose 3 times playing in high school.
Ooh.
Yeah.
It's like in rugby, like no padding, no nothing. You just straight up muscle, boom.
I'll say rugby's brutal, but it's amazing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say I feel like being from South Africa, like Andy has a completely different like worldview of watching movies. So like the things that I feel like Americans complain about of like wokeness or like the politicalness that's inserted into movies, it's a completely different viewpoint. I feel like you need to expand on that more than but like
just different countries have completely like
you've lived in different countries, different cultures, so you have a vision, a worldwide vision, just like me, because I grew up in the States and I lived in South America. So that's when people are diverse worldwide, like you are, you have a brighter point of view of things. So that's why I think your channel is blowing up because of that, because it's not just the Americanized point of view, it's like the more worldwide point of view,
including the American point of view. So exactly, we do. Let's just admit it.
And right here we're the same. I'm like, we got American, Hispanic, Canadian.
We have a narrower point of view when it comes to that particular subject. Yes,
and America's from film industry is like the leader in like the Western world. So that's like what we watch. Like even when we live in the UK or South Africa, it might be a couple years later, but we would watch American films. And like films would come out at the same time, but like shows, we would still watch that. I always used to joke with my friends, like that show King of Queens. I don't know if you guys ever saw that.
Yeah,
but it was huge overseas. And I was like, man, we don't watch that. I'm moved here, like my American was like, what are you talking about? That show is shit. What are you
No, that show is great.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just very different.
Nice. All right, guys. So, well, stick around. We got a lot of more topics. And guys, if you're coming in, Hold My DualShock is here with us. Please, a link will be in the description for their websites, their social links, so you guys can go and subscribe to their channels, go and support them as well. And let's kick it up into top gear, Charles. So, you want to do the video now?
Yes, let's do the video because I want to. It's gonna lead into what we're talking about anyway. But go ahead and play that video for me.
All right, let me upload it here. Hold my DualShock. Here we go.
Because that was the thing when we first started talking about this film last year. We said there's never been a director, no matter how great, how amazing, how storied. There's never been a legacy important enough that Warner Brothers wouldn't interfere.
So like it's not outside the realm for things to get messed with because the studio does not allow any of their directors to have their own creative vision.
Holy Jesus. What is that? What the fuck is that? What is that private pile?
Now, look.
It's so weird seeing our own stuff.
So you can take the video down now. So that was the reason why I reached out to you guys, because what you said and then the end of that video literally encapsulates what WBD has been doing for years. And I'm not talking about just recently. People think that this is a recent thing that they don't. They have been meddling since Donner. I am trying to tell these people that they don't listen. I'm like, how is it that, and you guys have got to be at least 20 years younger than I am. And I said, if they get it, and I made a post about it, and I recirculated it. I said, if they get it and they're younger than me, what is going on with this other generation and them just not getting the message of what's going on here? I don't understand that. WBD, in short, has been the cause of all of this. And everybody's like, it's the creative's fault, or it's the director's fault, or no, it's not. It's been them the whole time. Why is it that we see that and they don't? So I wanted to kind of get a broader perspective of what your take is on that. Do you think that, I mean, ultimately studios meddle, I get it, but do you think that there's room for a studio to interfere at all at any point, whether it's going good or bad, or no?
Ooh, I mean,
No pressure.
I'll say personally, I think the issue with Warner Brothers is that they consistently meddle. Like, it's, yes, like all studios interfere and want to have a hand in what's going on with their productions. But I think the difference is with Warner Brothers, it doesn't matter if it's going good or bad. I feel like they always have their own vision of what they want the outcome to be. And because they're always plagued by this jealousy of Marvel and what they want to obtain, they consistently meddle with ideas rather than allowing their directors, regardless of how like amazing or their history has been in the past, they don't allow them to just get their vision out there, which is why we've seen so many director's cuts, like of everyone wanting like the director version to be released, and that only happens at Warner Brothers.
well, I mean, like
That's exactly my point. It's almost like you never hear really about Marvel meddling, with anything. Disney, Star Wars, that we can debate that one all day. So they do that, but in general, it's just been Warner Brothers. It seems like that they're the only ones, especially when it comes to the superhero IP.
Yes.
They want to they just want to put their hands all over it.
I don't think they understand like the nature of comics, because in my mind, I don't like that now there's like this thing of like the right and wrong way to adapt a comic. Like, because there's many different comics and you see a lot of people very dishonestly, if it's something they like, they'll point to a comic, they'll scour to find an example in the comic that proves that it should exist. If it's something they don't like, they'll ignore it and be like, well, that comic doesn't count. It's so like, it's this weird thing where, yeah, I understand that they're businesses and they need these things to be profitable. But I do think that these things need to be art first and foremost to have like a lasting legacy. Yes. And so if you're trying to sell a product, then don't bring in an artistic director. Like just hire anybody who's going to be a company stooge, do a paint by. But I mean, when you're bringing in a Burton or a Donner, or don't hire Tim Burton, like who has a distinct style if you don't want them to do that. And then
all tours.
You have to understand that that's going to bring in people that want to see what would be essentially their run, their stab at it, right?
Yeah.
Might go well, might go badly, but you get to experience that. This homogenization, I think, is a problem. And I think it also I think that Warner Brothers, I think, is just a company of like bad. It's like a bad company. Because when you look at the depth of it, like you have someone like Burton who, nails 2 Batman films for you, but he can't make a Superman film. Like that just ends up in production hell. Or Donner, like trying to rip it off, trying to get him to make 2 for the price of 1. Like just no respect for their directors. I don't know why that's the case. But like you said, it's not a new thing. And like, for some reason, it's happened to every single person who's ever worked with them. Nolan saying he can't work with them. He doesn't want to work with them.
Nolan refuses to ever go back.
But this time it's going to be different. This company's the same. The people running are the same. But this time it's going to be different. But if you bring that up, for some reason, now people want to defend this company. And I mean, if there's one thing that history's proven, it's like given enough time, Warner Brothers will screw you over.
Oh, for sure.
And they had years to witness this. That's the funny part about it.
Yeah.
Or maybe they're just phony from day one, and they never really did the research, went back as far as Man of Steel, and actually saw what was going on, and said, "Wait a minute, there's too many things that are aligning, that are just lining right up," and that's their MO. That has been their thing. They just. My name is Big Shot CEO, and I'm here to interfere in every fucking thing and possibly ruin the company. And then they just keep on rolling it like that. I don't understand why they are drawn to WB and not anywhere else. You know what I mean? That's what confuses me. It's like, okay, Marvel's, they're not perfect. Don't get me wrong, but they at least make an attempt to listen to their fan base. That is the reason.
Yeah,
you know, that's
to their detriment. They sometimes allow
directors have a little too
much.
Much
yeah, like they hire directors who technically aren't qualified to make certain movies,
like Taika.
Yeah,
for example.
From Taika, you did have a pretty popular Ragnarok, and then you see what he does with Love and Thunder, and you realize, oh, that's the limit. That was too much free reign. Yeah.
Whereas
with Warner Brothers, you never really see what the limit is because you shortchange people. You never let things breathe. So what works at DC? You have no idea.
No.
Like you don't actually know because usually things are either canceled at the first hint of trouble,
or they're
and it's already a product. Like if you look like the Ayer cut, like what did you learn from the Ayer cut? If studio stepped in, they should be emboldened. Like I don't understand why people. If you look at just from the outside with the Ayer cut, that film made a lot of money, right? So
you mean the Snyder cut?
No, the Ayer cut. Sorry, not the Ayer
cut. The theatrical version of Ayer cut.
The
theatrical version. Okay, so just the Suicide Squad. Okay, gotcha.
That's what I don't know why I said the Ayer cut.
Or Suicide Squad.
Because there's two Suicide Squads.
Yes. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, that other Suicide Squad. We don't talk about that.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, like the studio should be emboldened. Why would you think then that moving forward they wouldn't continue to interfere? They didn't learn a lesson there. They saw that they did what they wanted
and it made money.
You know,
and it's like it feels like there's there's an entity there. I don't know other way to describe it, but let's just say they fire Zaslav. You know, let's just say they all get together. The shareholders are like, we are done with this. They fire Zaslav, they fire Gunn, they fire Safran, they fire all of these people, right? And then it's like there's still a void there, and that void says, reach out and find the exact same people who don't know a goddamn thing about these fucking comics.
Yeah.
That's my problem. I don't understand why WB keeps pulling those people in. Why is Marvel not pulling those people in? Why is another studio not pulling those type of people in that WB environment? You know what I mean? It's just it's like a ghost that will forever haunt.
It's not a ghost.
Studio.
It's a cancer. It's a cancer.
Yeah, it's like you try to cut it out, but another piece pops up. How does that piece pop up? Where does it come from? Well, why don't they look at the past and say enough is enough, guys? You know what I mean?
Here's my take on this topic. Warner Brothers as a whole, like Warner Brothers the studio per se, okay? They're part of old Hollywood. Old Hollywood, old money, power, politics, all that crap. We don't talk about those things in this podcast, just so you guys know, but all those things come and play why some people are still having in the position that they are. Like after everything that happened, why is like Safran is still there. Yeah. There's a lot of people that are still from the previous regimes, because we've been through 2 regimes already.
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I mean. It's like when you break the link of that chain, there's still enough of that chain left from somebody there that believes in that ideology, and they're going to keep on. Well, fine. They cut them out, but we're going to hire somebody else that's going to marvelize this shit. And then they fired them. It's like, well, we're going to keep finding people that's going to marvelize this shit.
I think the big elephant in the room is that they've worked with so many directors already and have already burned so many people that there's just a certain group of directors of quality that don't even want to go back to the studio. So I think Warner Brothers, regardless of who's running it, they're kind of forced to work with the same people who are willing to work for that company. You
That
get what
makes
I'm
sense.
saying?
And for
That
pocket
makes
change.
sense. Yeah.
Mhm.
And for pocket change. Yeah.
The culture of Warner Brothers. I think they've just built up over time that because they have been successful, they've always had this envy. And then the people that always work there, they all have the same mindset of what they want to achieve, and then never allow things to come to fruition of seeing was it successful or not, because they always cut them off at the knees if if one thing wasn't as successful as they
My
expected.
thing is this though: do they have the anti-life equation, and they're just like hypnotizing all of the investors and shareholders into believing that shit all these years? That's my problem. I'm like, guys, they lied to you time and time again and told you they were going to bring you a Marvel, and they still keep failing, and yet y'all keep listening to them. What is going on? You're
And they're-
wasting your money.
Charles, look what Demi Ray says right here.
Safran has been losing WB money since Meet the Spartans. Yeah, he was a producer of Meet the Spartans, by the way. So, give you some context. The Wayans brothers did an outstanding job making Scary Movie and all of the other kind of stuff. That is just like when I talk about buffoonery, because it's just that stupid. I love it. And that's the reason why I love it, because it knows what it is. And the Wayans brothers gave us that. And then after that, after all of those films started populating, everybody started doing it. Here we come with the superhero movie, Meet the Spartans, epic movie. And they just kept trying to copy off that flavor, and they were just tanking after that. There was like a certain element, there was something missing when they made these films. Scary Movie to me felt like a Naked Gun movie. It felt like an Airplane. You know, it felt like that movie, the parody of Airplane in '78. It felt that way to me. That it felt like that formula. But then after that, they try to replicate it, and it just keeps failing. And that's the vibe that I get from WB. They're like, let's just do it like Marvel, brighten it up, and here we
Look
are.
at how much money this movie made. It's insane.
Scary movie.
Budget 20 million budget. Let's say with marketing, let's say 40 million, just to round it up. 270 million.
That's a resounding success. They I don't know if you guys know this, Katie and Annie, but did you know that when Scary Movie left the theater, audiences petitioned for them to bring it back, and they brought it back for like another? Yeah, they brought it back again. They brought it back to the theater. It was that funny, and they brought it back to the theater, and it was still packed. Yeah,
this was a good movie, dude. I saw this in theaters. This was I
saw hilarious.
I saw up to the third movie, and after that, I stopped because I was like, no.
It was the first three were the best. And you're right, the Wayans brothers weren't involved after. And that's when it all started to go downhill.
It just started
I think
to go downhill.
The Wayans actually did a spin-off series. I think there was some other Scary Movie-esque side project that they did when they stopped associating with.
Never heard that before.
God, I'm gonna look it up. Give me a second.
Haunted House. I can't remember. Was it that one?
I think it was Haunted House.
Oh, okay.
I don't think I've seen that one. Yeah.